In this video, we'll be seeing what it's like to fly Saudia from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, over to Paris, France. We'll start our flight experience off at the airline's lounge and then board what turned out to be a rather eventful ride through the night. And to sweeten it up, I booked a very special seat that may well have been the very best available on board my entire 777 flight. So join me today in finding out what the current state of Saudia economy class really is. I've just got to get over to the airport first. I just so happen to be taking the world's newest metro on over to the airport. It's a driverless metro. Look, there's no driver. This brand new metro really is quite the smooth ride, but I actually made a whole video about it, so definitely watch that one after this one. And I'm almost to my station. I'll be departing from Terminal 4 today. So let's head over to the terminal, and once I get through security, we can start our Saudia experience in economy class off right over in their airport lounge. And I just had to stop over here real quick to check in my bag. Notably absent in this airport is any business class counter, but it was quick enough to get to the guy, check in my backpack, and now I'm on my way over here to go through customs and all that good stuff. And it is my first time here, but Terminal 4 is looking pretty nice and shiny. And you've got the American embassy over there, the Canadian embassy over there, and I don't even know where that embassy's from. But if you didn't have lounge access, there are definitely plenty of options, albeit they're probably not all that affordable. But right around the corner, you've got the AlFursan Lounge, so let's give that a thorough testing out because I do have quite a few hours before my flight departs very late, not even tonight, but actually tomorrow morning at 2:05 a.m. So I'm gonna be here for a while. Hi, how are you? We are coming into the lounge. And at first glance, this AlFursan Lounge is looking pretty nice. Sparkly and clean like the rest of the airport, at least in Terminal 4. And your welcome to the lounge is a bunch of dates and this lovely Saudi coffee with ginger or with clove, cookies, all kinds of traditional Saudi stuff. And then over this way, you've got a live barista along with lots of food options. Oh, and an ice cream machine. Looks like they've got some basics. Well, that one looks attractive. Tuna olive sandwich. And over here, all the hot foods. Ooh. So it's definitely not a big lounge by any measure, but I found a nice seat, and there's practically nobody here right now. And then after the hot food section, there's a coffee machine there, but you probably don't need to use that considering they have a barista. There's also a nice fridge full of drinks. So yeah, you really got all kinds of options over here. And if you ask for fresh carrot juice, they also have that. But I'm really hungry, so that's all I'm going to be showing you of the food over here because it's time for me to eat all of this. And I'm finding this lounge quite cool because I have a place for you to hang your jacket, which I didn't really hang right, and another one to hang, I don't know, like your, the thing you wear on your head here in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what it's called. And then over here, you've got all of the food that I'm about to eat. And as it turns out, the food here is actually quite good. There's like a lot of selection. I'm pretty into this biryani though. And mild stuff like rice or chicken before a flight's usually a pretty solid idea. Plus, I love fresh carrot juice, so it's really cool that they just randomly happen to have that at this lounge. Just keep in mind that you should not show up here thinking that there's going to be alcohol just because there's no alcohol at all. In fact, now in Saudi Arabia, there is one place where diplomats can get alcohol in the whole country. But outside of that, alcohol is completely banned here. So this is a dry airline I'm about to fly on, Saudia, and the lounge is also dry. Will that change in the near future? Possibly. But for now, no alcohol. Really, my only complaint here is of my own doing. Where I'm sitting is not really super well designed for eating. I should have just sat over there, eaten, and then come and relaxed over here. The only thing is I kind of came to the lounge at the wrong time because literally everybody working in the airport is watching the final between Real Madrid and Barca. And luckily, everyone I asked wants Barca to win. Wait, so Barca's winning like 1-0 or how is it?
1-1.
Ah, 1-1.
Yes, now good.
What? How many minutes? 21 minutes so far. Ah, who do you want to win? Who do you want to win? Barcelona. Yes. Barca. So, dessert time, and there's an ice cream machine. An ice cream machine with mango ice cream. You can choose cup, or they've got cones over there. I think I'll go with a cup. Whoa. Whoa. It's definitely mango ice cream. This looks like a mango in ice cream form. It smells like a mango. It tastes like ice cream with a mango. Now it's my wife's turn. She's going for the mix. You can get a mix of mango and vanilla. It's not that fast, this machine, but it's coming out, you can see. Ooh, look at that swirly swirl. It's orange and white. Now, is it any good? I could not try her ice cream. Well, that tastes like ice cream with mangoes and ice cream with vanilla. So outside of the fact that there are no bathrooms inside of this lounge, and it's a little bit of a small lounge for serving international flights, but okay, there's only like 5 gates over in this terminal. This lounge was not the worst place at all. This has been about 4 hours, thanks to you. But it's time for my flight to board. So let's head on over to my gate, just over here, because there's only like 5 gates in this Terminal 4. And we'll see exactly what it's like to fly Saudia on a longer flight. This flight's a little bit over 6 hours on over to Paris. And by the way, to access that lounge, I used SkyTeam Elite Plus status. I highly recommend holding at least one airline status, always worth it. And holding that status also means that I board in Zone 1, along with business class passengers, people with children, and stuff like that. They like to call that Sky Priority these days on SkyTeam Alliance member airlines. And you can see the flight time is listed as 6 hours and 8 minutes, slightly shorter than the average flight time for this route. So that's interesting. Let's see if that's how it turns out to be. And here they have nice jet bridges that you can see through. And that's a 777-300 over there. It's one of the biggest aircraft in Saudia's fleet. And I have a very interesting seat on this airplane that I chose myself, that I was able to choose for free, by the way. It's the very last seat in the economy class. I'll be sitting in 59A. How are you doing today? Sure, 59A.
C.
59C. My wife has A. I'm taking her seat. And here you can see they're very modern looking business class. I asked if there were any upgrades available, and they actually told me that this business class is entirely booked up on this flight. So, the second best option, or at least so I think it might be. It's my first time flying this airline. Can be found way back here, very deep into the economy cabin. Hi brother, how are you?
Hi, doing good. How are you?
Good. 59A. So, maybe you're starting to get an idea of why I chose row 59. Look at all of the space right here in the middle of the aisle. And look at all the space right here next to row 59. People often like to call this the poor person's business class. I can't say I'm a huge fan of that term, but this is definitely a step up from sitting in a row of 3, especially if you're traveling in a group of 2 like I am with my wife. So actually, as my wife pointed out to me, and I had kind of forgot about, Saudi Arabia's, you could say it's like a culturally conservative country or something like that, right? There are a lot of people that practice Islam in a very serious way, to the degree that they kind of need a prayer room on the plane. This space right here is in fact the prayer area. But anyway, here I am over at my seat in the very back of the plane. And the legroom is looking not bad, to be honest. It's not the best legroom I've ever had in economy class, but it's quite reasonable. But just taking a quick look around, you get your blanket. It's green. Seems like just about everything with Saudia is in fact green. Looks kind of nice though. And a pillow. And otherwise, for your charging needs, you've got your typical USB, although this isn't the newest of aircrafts. Newer wide bodies such as the Dreamliners would probably have a slightly different IFE, but let's go ahead and take a look through here. And it's a nice touch that we are flying to Paris today, and there's a nice branded image of the Eiffel Tower. And perhaps the most often heard complaint about Saudia, aside from people that are unhappy that it's a dry airline, which to be honest does not bother me at all, is that the entertainment can be a little bit limited due to censorship. But as far as I can tell, you do have quite a few English language movie options. I'm not the type of person that usually sits on, say, a 14-hour flight and watches like 7 movies or something like that. So perhaps you could call me biased to not caring all that much about the entertainment selection in the end. But it looks like they've got more than enough for at least your first few flights with Saudia. I mean, there's even Happy Feet, the Polar Express, Little Women, and of course your bad boys for life. And, as is customary for any decent airline, you've got a 3D flight map. And in all honesty, that boarding process was very, very smooth. And it went quite quick. The aircraft isn't like quite full, but probably 80, maybe even 85% of the seats are filled. And yeah, maybe about 10 minutes after closing the door, they got through the safety announcement, first in Arabic, and then in English. And then there was also a kind of prayer, I think it was, that they do on every Saudia flight. Oh yeah, and they even managed to do a nice little moist towelette service that smelled very nice and lemony. All in about 10 minutes. But here we are, pushing back, heading over to our runway, and to be honest, I don't think Riyadh Airport is all that busy at 2 in the morning, though Saudi Arabia and the whole MENA region do have a lot of, let's just call them strange flight times. I mean, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., all those kind of departures. I don't find them all that fun, but they seem so common around here that I guess people don't mind. You also get a not completely flimsy pair of headphones. I mean, yes, made in China, but Saudia branded and they feel okay. So, if you didn't bring your own headphones or you only have Bluetooth headphones or whatever, you can still watch a movie or listen to some music or whatever else you want to do with headphones. But I'll give those headphones a little bit of a test later in the flight, because right now we're just making it over to our final runway and it looks like we're about to take off. Why don't we go take a look at the bathroom, since it's just right next to me and I do have to go there anyway. Well, the literal second that we hit 10,000 feet, the seatbelt sign came off. So this bathroom is a very spacious economy class bathroom. There's like an extra 1/3 of room compared to what I'd say about the average one is. It's clean so far. It's got a little bit of a bathroom aroma, but it's kind of just because it's an old aircraft, I would say. Nothing really bad. And I don't know what this attention sealed stuff is about, but you've got a toilet here and some amenities. More like what you'd find in a business class, to be honest. Air freshener, hand hygiene, and what is this? Okay, it says eau de parfum. So I mean, really, so far, everything about this Saudia experience, well, a few elements of the lounge aside, is feeling kind of premium. Kind of better than economy on most of the airlines that I've flown on, to be honest. But let's see, we've still got 6 hours left. So I will definitely point out that it is one of those sinks that you have to keep pressed for any water to come out, though. I don't love this, but I do find them a lot in like older aircraft, so they are what they are, I guess you could say. Definitely works. And while yes, technically Saudia is a dry airline, they do happen to have some alcohol on the plane and sanitizer. But somehow, even after quite a bit of food over at the lounge, I'm getting hungry again. And even though it's 3 in the morning, I don't know what's wrong with me today. So I'm gonna head back to my seat, and I do believe meal service should probably start pretty soon. But on my way back from the bathroom, one kind of strange thing happened. It doesn't really happen these days much anymore at all. The flight attendant, randomly, after seeing me into the aircraft with the camera and doing a lot of different things with the camera, even talking to him while I was showing him the camera, asked me if I have permission to film on board. Of course, the whole point of me doing flight review videos like this is to show you what it's like to fly on an airline without any bias from the airline. So no, I do not ask for permission from the airline or tell them that I'm filming or anything. Obviously, you can't like hide a camera. People can see that you have a camera, and you shouldn't hide a camera anyway. That's wrong. So I'm interested to see, because he said he would go up and ask the supervisor, so the flight attendant in charge, if it's okay with him if I film. So we'll see what I can show you after this. But anyway, things keep on rolling at 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning on this airplane. And they've actually set up the prayer area for someone. The rug is there. It's a very pretty rug, actually. But in terms of things a little bit more interesting to me, they just handed out an amenity kit in economy class, akin to airlines like Qatar Airways or Turkish Airlines that are among the few that actually do that. And this is almost like the quality of something you'd find in some business classes. I mean, the socks have airplanes on them after all, and the sleeping mask feels pretty thick cotton, pretty nice. Some earplugs. They just gave me a bottle of water and a dental kit. And just as I was looking through the amenity kit, the flight attendant came back and informed me that it's totally okay to film everything on the airplane. In a very kind way, to be honest. I think he was just doing his job. So it was a little startling that he kind of came up out of the blue just because he noticed my camera. Not for the first time, but I think the whole thing was dealt with in a really reasonable manner. It was like 5 minutes of me not being sure if I could film anything besides myself. And overall, this cabin crew has been super welcoming and really nice. So honestly, if I had to guess, that flight attendant had probably recently been in a meeting where they were discussing how to deal with people filming on airplanes, because you do have the occasional ill-willed YouTuber that will go on board an airplane just kind of looking for a negative experience. Josh Cahill. But within 5 minutes, he had managed to go up, talk to the cabin manager, and verify that it's fine for me to film on board. And while all of that was occurring, a snack came by. Some sun bites and a banana. So they don't have meal service, which is a little bit of a downside, to be honest. They could serve a very, very late dinner, like other airlines often would. You know, for example, I've taken like Etihad flights with similar flight times, and they did serve both a dinner meal, a small one, and then usually a light breakfast. But do know if you're hopping on a Saudia flight, at least like this one to Paris, that's a little over 6 hours long, at 2 in the morning, it's just going to be a snack. But there will be breakfast, so stay tuned for that. And also make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video so I can share the awesome hack that I used to book these flights with you. So now, just a little bit over 4 hours into the flight, I was able to sleep on this flight pretty well, actually. This seat reclines pretty nice. Got a little bit of space here, just enough to get to about this position here, and it's comfortable enough for me to fall asleep. Although I must admit, I was quite tired. So those 6.5 hour economy flights in the middle of the night can sometimes just be a bit of a tricky beast, because you know you want to sleep for like 4 or 5 hours at least, but you end up just getting like 2 or 3 hours. Again, I never go into an economy flight expecting to get any sleep. When I'm exhausted, it seems that I can fall asleep and I get some rest, but an economy seat just never will resemble anything similar to a bed, so best to hope for the worst. Now though, I can see that the crew is coming around with the meal service, so let's see what food is like aboard Saudia when it comes to a full-size meal. And being way all the way here in the back, this seat does have its downsides or upsides depending on how you look at it, but I'll be the very last person on this airplane to get my meal today. While cleanliness upon boarding and during the first few hours of the flight seemed to be really solid, everything seemed to be really nice and clean, the cabin has taken a little bit of a turn for the worse. Nothing crazy, but you can see that that prayer rug area has become a little bit disgruntled. Well, and the really problematic one that did affect me is that the bathroom was just soaked in some not so mystery liquid, and seemed as though it hadn't had any recent visit from any flight attendant just to check on it. So hard to say for sure what cleanliness looks like on longer Saudia flights, but at the moment when I happen to go to the bathroom, and just right now, it's not quite 100% clean. But I suppose one reason for that's probably that the crew is not that big on this flight, and I'd bet they've been pretty busy preparing the meal service. So being in the last seat to be served on the plane means that only eggs were available. I don't know what other dish they were serving before, but it doesn't matter because now it's eggs. And in addition, it comes served with a croissant in a bag, some apple slices, and fresh mango yogurt. For drinks, they do also have a few different juices available, but since the seatbelt sign's on, they don't serve hot drinks at all. Doesn't matter how mild the turbulence is, so I wanted a coffee, but I've got to wait for that coffee for a little while. And the food all seems to be quite decent for economy, I guess. Nothing to write home about. Probably not as impressive as some other Middle Eastern airlines such as Qatar Airways. But that mango yogurt, which they probably should really just call mango pudding, really does stand out. That's quite good. But really, I do have to say it does feel like a first meal service should have happened, even if it was just like a kind of light meal, like say, I don't know, some kind of shawarma wrap or something like that. Just having only a snack when you board, even if it is like quite late at local time, it's just a bit strange. And luckily, I was able to get my coffee, but just due to the seatbelt sign being on for quite a while, there was no hot drink service official on this flight. So yeah, I guess Saudi is pretty strict about hot drinks. But as we are just about to begin our descent down into Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport, let's take a minute and go over, first off, how much I paid for this flight, and then if based on what I paid, I'd take Saudia Airlines again or not. So I knew I needed a flight from Saudi Arabia over, actually not to Paris, but to somewhere in Germany, where I live in Germany. But the whole thing about it was that the only real options as far as cash fares go that were under like $400 were on FlyNAS, which is a low-cost carrier based in Saudi Arabia. Based on really just what I wanted to spend for the route I was going to fly, and by the way, I did just need a one-way ticket, I deemed all of the cash fares to just be pretty poor value. I mean, the flight, if it were a non-stop flight between any Saudi Arabian city and any German city, would be somewhere around 6 hours. So at that point, I took a look at what different kind of award redemptions were available with the current points and miles that I have in accounts. And now I have heard people claim that Delta Sky Miles are nearly worthless these days. Some people on certain aviation websites even have stooped to calling them Sky Pesos, which is just insulting actually. But in this case, Delta Sky Miles actually had by far the best award flight deal I could find for the dates that I needed. So for this Saudia Airlines flight, with a layover in Charles de Gaulle and then an onward flight on Air France over to the German city where I live, I paid a total of 25,000 Delta Sky Miles, plus right around $120 in taxes and fees. So if you're going based on the people that claim that Delta Sky Miles are worthless as valuation, then I just paid $120. But I would say that those Sky Miles actually are quite valuable. I've gotten tons of great Delta Sky Miles redemptions over the years, and in my opinion, the value I got on this flight by booking Sky Miles was really good. Really, it was just the $120 or so taxes and fees that seemed a little bit too high, but those taxes and fees are really just set in stone and there's nothing I could have done about it. But as for the experience that Saudia has to offer, I'm a little less impressed than the deal I got for these flights. I think it started off quite strong, though their lounge could use its own bathroom, could probably use a little bit more love than what it gets right now. Still, a pretty decent lounge by international standards. Boarding was really nice, and the crew's been overall pretty receptive with maybe a few little flaws in service, but the crew is kind of small, like I was saying, for this large aircraft, so I think maybe they could have a few more flight attendants on each flight. But regardless of that, if they would just add a second meal service to a flight like this, that would certainly be a step up, and at least put them at par with their competitors. I mean, we're talking about airlines like Etihad, Qatar Airways, Emirates. These are pretty serious competitors that they're going after over here. And if you look back, say like 5 or 6 years ago, Saudia was in a totally different world, not able to compete with those airlines at all. So considering how this airline is kind of developing quite fast, and the fact that all of the basics were definitely here, minus maybe the first meal, I'd definitely give Saudia another try. Perhaps to test out one of their other aircrafts, maybe a Dreamliner, and probably to sit up front to see what their business class is like too. And we're getting some pretty significant turbulence here, about halfway down in our descent. But as for the secret seat back here, would I recommend this as well? I think so. 59A, 59C is quite a nice little spacious place back here, and you're actually far enough away from the bathroom that there's really nothing to bother you at all. Plus, I don't really love reclining into someone's lap and bothering them, and you know, just the whole ordeal. But right here when I recline, there's nobody behind me, so this is really pretty much the perfect economy seat. But look, in just 28 minutes I'll be on the ground over in Charles de Gaulle Airport, and I've got a kind of long layover, so I'm going to use that SkyTeam Elite Plus status once more to enter the Air France Lounge, and hopefully, if there are spaces available, get a nice and free Clarins spa treatment. But as far as everything Air France goes, I have another video for you that does also go over that spa experience, so definitely give that one a watch after this one. It's crazy what people do to airplanes by the time the flight's over. Merci beaucoup, thank you. Hey, I have a really weird question for you. Somebody left their amenity kit and didn't take it with them. Can I take it?
Which one?
In business class, like 3 rows back.
I will check.
I can show you. Is that okay?
Chef, there is someone here for the amenity.
Someone left their amenity kit, and I was wondering if you mind if I take it as a souvenir. Okay. Shukran.